Hi, I'm Mike Michalowicz, the author of Clockwork, and we are here to talk about how to make your business run itself. I'm joined by my business partner, Adrienne Dorison. It's good to see you,
Hello,
Adrienne.
hello.
And
Good to
Adrienne, I
be
have a
here.
surprise for you. I brought one more guest who is the ultimate expert in corporate systemization and probably motivation. Here's the guest, uh, Toby.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I did used to work for a paper company, so I am very aligned with Toby and his work.
Yeah. I suspect you've seen it out there, and the
Mhm.
goal is to fix that, to have an environment that is cohesive, productive, and as well systemized. And what I thought we'd do today is we're going to do it, I think, in a unique way. Adrienne and I are going to introduce you to one unique word. That if you change this word, it'll have a extraordinary impact on how you operate your business and bring about systemization. We'll bring you one action that if you do it, will have the same effect, and one habit. So one word, one action, and one habit. And I'll start with a big reveal, Adrienne, then we'll kind of go back and forth on this. It is shareholder. Do you know most business owners call themselves an entrepreneur or a business owner? I suspect that's what you call yourself. That's what I've called myself for the longest time. But that has become equated to hustle and grind. You got to work more. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to sacrifice every element of your life, your family, your friends, your hobbies, what brings you joy outside of work, because all you're going to do is work. And there's some, pretty significant pundits who promote this belief, and I bought into it. And hustle and grind is just a new term that used to be called workaholic, and workaholic was just a new term that used to be called work ethic. It's just the new flavor of the month, but it's the same belief that to grow your business, you need to work more. What we're going to teach you today is changing the word to shareholder, because the goal isn't even to grow a business, it's to scale a business. Growing is to do more to get more, and scaling is to do less to get more. Now, here's how it works. Next time you are amongst friends or talking to colleagues or with people that ask you about what do you do for a living, no longer say, I'm an entrepreneur who does, or I'm a business owner that does. Instead, say, I'm a shareholder who owns. I'm a shareholder who owns a small business. And the small business does X, Y, and Z. You see, what this forms is identity shift. I'm a shareholder in Ford, among a few other small companies and other companies, large companies, but I own a small portion of stock. I have 100 shares in Ford. Ford sends their quarterly distributions, and when I get them, I don't look at it and say, oh, I don't deserve this. I need to head down to the factory to earn this off. Or I don't return it to Ford and say, this is a plow back into the company. Grow, everyone grow. I took a risk by investing in Ford, and this is my remuneration for it. It's my compensation for taking a risk. In fact, a shareholder has two responsibilities: to distribute the risk. They took, interest in the business. They get contribution or profit in recognition of that. Additionally, a shareholder renders strategic direction, voting for the new board or making decisions around building new plants and so forth. For your business, you started the business. You are contributing to the economy. Even if you're a solopreneur, the fact that you're generating revenue, you probably buy supplies from someone, you probably have vendors, you are contributing to our economy. You took on extraordinary risks to start that business. So thank you for that. You deserve a profit shareholder. And your primary function is to give it strategic direction, not to do the work. I want to throw it over to you, Adrienne, because this is what you do through the Run Like Clockwork organization we've built.
Yeah.
You help businesses actually make this transition, not just with the word, but actually do it. What's your thoughts on shareholder?
Yeah, I think it's a really important identity shift for people to wrap their heads around and people to start using. I know it might feel uncomfortable at first. I know that we hear that from clients and people that we ask to do this, like put this new kind of identity or label on yourself, right? And start utilizing it, because it's really going to shift how you then show up in the business and how you then define the work that you really should be doing and how you pay yourself and how you want to grow. And so it's going to really shift your relationship with the business, which is going to help you have a business that isn't entirely dependent on you doing everything, right? Which is what clockworking is all about, is making sure that things can continue to run and grow and operate without you needing to be the linchpin or needing to be involved in all of these things. And I think the other big piece of shareholder, and shifting that identity that has been really impactful for me and a ton of our clients has been this idea that it is actually your most important job for the business to actually create other jobs, right? Like, and I would love for you to talk about that, because that's, a thought that came from you that has been influential with our clients being able to shift how they think about their role and how they show up in the economy in general, and kind of feeling a little bit more empowered around like, oh yeah. And maybe even feeling like, oh, I've been doing the wrong thing, or I've been focused on the wrong thing, which how dare I, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think we're going to volley back and forth on this concept. The idea of many entrepreneurs is I have to work as hard as possible. And that by demonstrating this, other people that I ultimately see what a work ethic is. But what really happens is we start stealing the work from them. There's a Greek goddess, or maybe it's an Indian goddess named Kali. And maybe no one on this call may recognize that name, but you probably recognize the figure. It's a female figurehead with 8 arms. It's one brain controlling 8 arms. And sadly, that's what businesses come when we're not acting like a shareholder. We are controlling all the decision making. Employees become task rabbits. They come to us and say, well, what should I do now? And you're like, okay, do this. And then the next employee comes and you say, do that. What happens is, in that environment, we as business owners often start to work a 9 to 5 schedule. The entrepreneur's definition of 9 to 5, where we start work truly at 9 o'clock at night and work until 5 o'clock in the morning, because the rest of the time it's just putting out fires. But when we transition to this shareholder mentality, we also realize it's an empowering mentality, that we've actually trapped our employees by doing the work ourselves. We're blocking them. But when we become a shareholder and we extract ourselves from doing the business, we can go out and, to your point, Adrienne, do the most important work necessary, which is the creation of jobs, the fuel to the economy, what we were designed to do as entrepreneurs. And our employees, I found, Adrienne, feel empowered because they're able to take on greater and bigger opportunities.
100%. And it's going to free you up. Like, if you're in a position right now where you have team members, whether it's contractors, full-time, part-time, vendors, anyone that you work with that supports doing work for the business, one of the things that is most common is you get trapped in what we call the deciding work type, right? Where you spend all day making decisions for other people, right? You think, oh, I'm maxed out on my own capacity. Like, there's no opportunity for me to do anymore. And when you reach that point, typically people start to hire and they're like, great, this is going to free me up. I'm going to have so much more time. It's going to be amazing. And then the reality sets in that they have hired people, but that those people are trapped in this deciding cycle where they do not own the decision-making as team members. And so all of the decisions still live with you. And therefore they are, like what you were talking about, Mike, like they become task rabbits. They have to come to you like, hey, what do you want me to do next? Or do you want this done in red or black? Or can you review this for me because I can't move it forward? So if there's these types of questions that are coming at you all day long, you might want to recognize like, wow, I've brought these people on so that I can focus on the more valuable work that I need to be doing, when in actuality, you're now getting trapped in making decisions all day long, right? And we know that actually decision making is the most neurologically taxing thing that we can do. And so you might end up at that 5 p.m. or 9 p.m. or whenever you're ending your day and you're like, I worked all day long, but I didn't really accomplish the big things that I needed to, but I'm also exhausted. Like, why am I exhausted? It's because you spent all of your decision-making energy on things that really should live with other people, right? Like, the things that you need to be expending that decision-making energy on are those higher value, strategic, creative design, level things. And so really removing all of that deciding is going to help make people more autonomous on the team, which is going to help them be more engaged and enjoy the work that they're doing. One thing I've learned from working with teams and team members and self included is that like everyone wants to be valuable. Like, no one wants to be the middleman, like having to come back to you and be like, do you want me to do this next? Or how do you want this done? Like no one likes that role, even though we trap some of our team members in that space. And then we're frustrated with them. Like, why don't they just answer it themselves? Or why can't they just do this themselves? Right. And it's like, well, they would like to, we just need to free them, and give them a little bit more of that decision-making autonomy so that you can spend more time in the more valuable work types that we talk about with clockworking.
So there you have it, our friends. We outlined big idea number one, call yourself a shareholder. And that's the action to take. Now, talking about action, we have one action that you can invoke in your calendar, Adrienne, starting today, and it will be a massive mind shift and behavioral shift. Do you mind doing the reveal for us?
Yes, the big reveal is that you are going to take a 4-week vacation. And I know that that's like shocking for some people. Some people are really excited right now. Other people are terrified, which is both of those are very normal reactions to this request. But the idea is that we want you to put this in your calendar. We want you to schedule out anywhere from 12 to 18 months from now, just depending on where your business currently sits in terms of its systems and how involved you are in the day-to-day. A 4-week vacation where you're not just on vacation and doing what you normally do, where you continue to check in on the business, but we're asking you to take a completely unplugged vacation from the business, meaning that you are not going to check in, you're not going to check emails, you're not going to check in on the team, you're not going to serve clients, you're not going to answer phone calls. Everything is going to be run by your systems and by the team that you have in place. And the purpose of this is to really train over the next 12 to 18 months and get the business in a place where it can completely support that idea of removing yourself for 4 weeks. And everything, why we picked 4 weeks is like everything typically happens in that 4-week cycle, right? It might be relatively easy for you to escape for a week, right? Completely unplugged. For some of you, even a week seems bananas. You're like, I can't unplug for a complete week. And that's okay. Start there, right? But plan this 4-week because we want to make sure that everything in the business can operate and run without you, because we talk about it through this luxurious idea of taking a 4-week vacation. And that's the ideal, is like we can plan it. But I would say the majority of our clients, when they come to us and when we start working with people and when we hear of people who have read the book and they're starting to implement these tools that we have in place, like they're having to step away from the business because of other life events, right? Other things that are pulling them out of the day-to-day. And so sometimes you can't plan for those things. And so we want you to do the 4-week vacation so that when those other unplanned life events happen, you're already ready for them. And I've story after story of like people that have done this or been so thankful that they prepared in advance so that when these life events started to pop up, the business could keep running, their team could keep being supported, they could keep getting paid. And I like to think about the 4-week vacation as like the entrepreneur's insurance policy, right? Like you never maybe like want to use it, but it being in place allows you to, if something happens in your life, and I've had personal things happen where I've been pulled out of the business, and I know you have, and tons of our clients have. And it's like, if something like that does happen, the last thing that you want to be worried about, or the last thing that you need to be thinking about, is the business and how are we going to keep paying ourselves and how are we going to keep paying the team and how are we going to keep serving clients, right? Like you need to be focused on whatever life event is pulling you away. And so this is kind of like your insurance policy and making sure that things can keep moving. And I think it's the most responsible thing you can do as a business owner, is give yourself this litmus test of getting ready and taking that 4-week vacation. I know you've taken like at least one every year now.
Yeah. I'm right? five consecutive ones in, and I expanded one now to a 9 months. It was a 5 and a 4, 9 weeks. I'm sorry, a 5
I was like, wow,
week, 9 month or 5 weeks and 4 weeks. To me, I liken it to fire drills. Growing up as a kid, the school would say, "Oh, we're going to do a fire drill rehearsal." And what was interesting was when a real fire happened, we had it in our school. Everyone knew exactly how to get up. There was no panic. People weren't crumbling or falling over each other. We simply followed the process, and everyone was brought to safety. And the funny thing is also, those drills came joyous. You hang out with your friends outside and and chit chat instead of being in class. That's what I found happens in these fortifications. This is your annual fire drill. You're going to leave your business for 4 consecutive weeks. If that gives you a panic now, that is a call to fix things and improve systemization so it's not a panic. And things won't go perfectly. My first 4-week vacation, I returned, we had some problems, but those were the problems to fix the next go around. The biggest problem was my own ego. I thought I was needed, and when no one needed me, I bruised my ego. And I realized, well, my role is to be a shareholder, a visionary, and started to transform my own behavior. And my employees, my colleagues felt empowered. And the funny thing is, I was in Europe as an author of a book. I'm not the creator of ideas as much as the curator. Adrienne is the creator of ideas. Adrienne and I were connected, and all the stuff you're reading in this book came from the work and research that Adrienne's done. And I simply positioned it into a story format. And as part of being an author, the privilege is I get to travel around the world speaking on it. Well, I'm in Europe, and I'm at a big conference. There's like, I would say 1,000 people in the room. And the pinnacle moment of teaching them how to systemize their business, I tell them, there's something you got to do. You have to take a 4-week vacation. The business needs a vacation from you. And there's a silence. And I'm like, where's all the ahas? And one person raises his hand. He goes, Dumkopf, we already take a 4-week vacation. It's called August. And I'm like, oh, that's right. In Europe, this has been a tradition for perhaps centuries now. And BMW is still in business and flourishing. It is the nature of them to take those 4 vacations. And I think if we're in North America and you're not doing that, there's something to take from our brothers and sisters over there and translate your own business. Your business needs a break from you. And the last thing is the reason we need to do this 4 weeks is we got to avoid the cram and scramble. The classic approach that I was taking to vacations was I'm going to cram as much work as I can in before I leave, go away for a week, worrying about the business, but hopefully get a few break times. And when I return, I'll scramble to recover. That cram and scramble. The 4-week break is so long, you can't cover it that way. You can't fake it and make it. You have to actually put the systems in place. So it's an extraordinary mechanism to bring out the systemization to your business. So there we have it. Big idea one is change to shareholder, change your title and your identity shifts. Big idea number two is this action. Block a 4-week vacation in your calendar today. Now, I'm not saying for tomorrow, but within 18 months of today, you better have your first one blocked out. And you're going to take a deep breath and maybe feel a little heart palpitation when you do that. But that is a call to shifting how you operate your business so it doesn't need you. There's one more thing. It's the habit. And you got to deploy this throughout your business. Adrienne, another big reveal back to you.
Yes.
What is the habit we need to employ?
The habit is that we need to start with a time tracking analysis. So we have all of our clients, when they come into our system, like the first thing that we end up doing is really taking an assessment and inventory of their time, and not just their time, but also any team members' time. Like, where's our time actually going? And we do this as a team. We do it once a quarter now, still to this day. We do it every single quarter for years. And it's always just as enlightening as it was the first time, right? So it's like this snapshot of where your time is actually going, because I think we have some preconceived notion about like where we think our time is going, but it's usually not very accurate until we sit down and we really track it, and we're being, a little more hyper vigilant to what am I actually doing, or how often am I answering other people's questions and making decisions throughout the day. I always say with the deciding work type that we talked about earlier that like you can't unknow that now, right? So as you go throughout your day, when someone like knocks on your door and they're like, hey, do you got a minute? I'm always like, oop, like my radar goes off. I'm like, that's like they're going to come and ask me for a decision, right? Like deciding is radars going off, bells are ringing. Same thing in our online world that many of us work in. If someone's asking you something via Slack and you're being interrupted, or emails coming in, or a text message, like now that's the deciding work type. And usually we don't document those things. We don't classify them. We don't even acknowledge that they're happening. We're just like, oh, these are the things I did today. But we have no full awareness of where our time is really truly going. And so doing a time tracking analysis, we like to do it for 5 days, just to give yourself a good sample size of where your time is going. You won't have perfect tracking, and that's okay. But as long as we have, a few days of pretty accurate assessment and pretty accurate documentation, you can get a good idea of where that time is going and how we can start spending it in more valuable ways for the business, right? So similar to us understanding, we have to understand where our money is going inside of the business in order to reallocate it or to spend it in better ways or to save it or to grow it, right? Like people understand the value of their financials in the business and having a good, a good understanding of those things. But your time is just as important to understand, if not more, because your time is what's influencing those financial metrics, right? And so we want you to have a really good grasp, building the habit of every 90 days at least, like tracking your time and your team's time so that we can start moving those activities to more valuable places. If you start identifying, throughout the week that you do this time tracking, like, wow, I had no idea how much time I spent on X, Y, and Z, or how much time I spent emailing, or how much time I spent, writing this copy for these websites, or how much time I spent doing client work that really someone else should be doing. It's a real awareness and leverage point for you to start shifting into handing things over to other people, or spending your time just in more valuable places. So the time tracking is essential. And then there's things that you can then do with that time to make it more valuable for the business, right? So I'll cover what we call, now it used to be the 3 T's. Now it's the 4 T's. 4 T's now. So when you do this time tracking, right, I'm asking you to do it for a few days at least. Then you're going to take a look at this, and you're going to look at each activity, and you're going to identify, is this something that I could, number 1 T, trash, right? And so trash means that we're just literally not going to do it anymore. Not that you're handing it over to someone else, but that the entire company is not going to do this thing anymore. We're kind of saying, maybe this isn't actually valuable for the business. When I used to work in the corporate world, one of the most frustrating but common sayings, like when I would ask someone why we're continuing to do something, it would be, well, because we've always done it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's maddening. But we do that often, even within our own businesses, even when we're not meaning to, right? But I want you to really question everything on that activity list that you're currently doing and ask yourself, is this something that we could maybe trash? Is this something that maybe we don't need to be doing and it's not going to change our metrics or our financials or the growth of our organization? Then trash it, right? And stop doing it. And we have our clients even do like test trashes, or like if they're nervous about trashing, because people are so attached to things inside of their business and the things that they're doing, that we're like, okay, just trash it for 2-3 weeks and let's look at, and let's attach a metric to it. And that's also always like a key indicator. If we can't attach a metric to the thing that you're holding on to, it's probably not that valuable, and we're just emotionally attached to it. So then it becomes an easier thing to trash. But trash it for 3 weeks. If for some reason you really want to add it back in, or it's proving to you that you do need to add it back in, right? It can't hurt to at least try. So the first thing you can do is trash it. The second thing you can do is you can trim activities. So Parkinson's law states that a task will expand or contract with the amount of time that we give it. So what that means is if you give something, 8 hours to do, it's probably going to take you close to 8 hours. But if you give yourself a constraint of 2 hours to do that same thing, you're probably going to get it done in those 2 hours, right? So when you look at the activities throughout your day, if you're noticing that, like, even meetings is a good example of something you could trim. Usually people set meetings for an hour just because that's what falls on the calendar system. Usually we don't need a full hour for meetings, but they will still last an hour because we've allotted the hour. Whereas if you tighten that to 30 minutes, it's probably going to take 30 minutes. People are going to be much more efficient with the time that we're spending in those spaces. If you give yourself all morning to check your emails and respond to them, it's probably going to take you all morning. If you give yourself set a timer, 20 minutes, bam, you'll be really working much more quickly and getting things done much more efficiently just by trimming the amount of time. And what that means is just putting constraints on it. So trash, trim, those are 2 things you can do even without bringing in any other team members, right? So those are things that can free you up to now spend time on more valuable things right away. The third one is what we call transfer. So if you identified things that are on your activities list that you're like, okay, we still need to do these, so we can't trash them. Maybe we've trimmed them as much as we possibly can, so we still need to continue, doing them inside of the company, but maybe you're not the person to do them, right? If you're kind of saying, we need to do them, but I'm actually not the best person to do them, or it's not my highest value to continue doing this, then let's look for an opportunity to transfer it to someone else, right? And delegate that over to someone else. Still identify it. A lot of people are like, well, what if I don't have that person on the team yet? I still want you to mark it as something that we can transfer, because even knowing in your head that like, oh, this is something that eventually I do need to get off my plate can help you start moving towards that and like closing that gap. But a lot of times you actually have people on the team already or within your, atmosphere that can actually help you, and you can transfer some things over to them. The fourth T that we added is what we call treasure. So treasure is all about really identification of the things that are on your plate or should be on your plate that are most valuable for you to be doing. You love doing them, and they're the most valuable for the company for you to continue doing, right? And so those are the things that we call treasure, and we really want our treasures to be increasing. And this goes for my team members too. I'm constantly looking for them to trash, trim, and transfer things that aren't their highest value. And I'm looking for them to increase the amount of things that they treasure, right? Which is going to help, number one, people be more engaged in their work. They're going to enjoy their work more if they're working on things that they actually love. But also the value of the entire organization is going to continue to grow. That's how our company is going to grow, is if we're all spending our time on the things that are most valuable for us to be doing for the company. So take a look at that time tracking after you do it for 3 to 5 days, and then apply these T's to each of the activities and start shifting that time into more valuable places.
I do the time tracking quarterly too, and it still is an eye opener.
Always.
To your point, if you want to master something, you must measure that thing. So measure your time and you will become a master of your time. Adrienne, before we run out of time, where can the people listening in right now get some free resources, learn more about our organization?
Yes, you can go to runlikeclockwork.com. We have tons of free resources. We have a podcast. We have a Clockwork kit that you can download with tons of the tools that we use inside of the Clockwork system. So if you're interested in any of that, that's the best hub and place to go. Just go to runlikeclockwork.com. It'll all be there.
All right. So if I may request you to go to runlikeclockwork.com, I ask that you do, because it will serve you. And I also want to remind you, perhaps the most important thing I can share is the world is starving for small business success. And the only way it's going to happen is if you're not doing the work. Design your business to run itself. On behalf of myself and the president of our company, Adrienne Dorison, thank you so much for joining us today.